Hello, hello. Thank you for tuning in once again to Fervently Creation. This is a place where we believe in marketplace ministry, where we believe that Christians can coexist in the marketplace, and not everyone is called to the pulpit, but some of us are called to the marketplace. Some of us are called into the hospital. Some of us are called inside the grocery stores. We're called into different areas. We're called into corporate America. We are called into different places to be able to talk. I want Fervently Creations to be a place to where it is comfortable for us to talk about God, but also talk about business at the same time. We're all about gospeling and not gossip. So with that, I love to just kind of point out and just tell people, hey, it is 5 books, it's 5 gospels. You have Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And sometimes the only one that people actually look at is you. That is the only one they're going to read. And so while you're out in the marketplace, while you're out in the grocery stores, while you're on your job, while you're in your business for the entrepreneurs, whatever you're doing, people are always looking and they're trying to see the Jesus in you. So with that, with marketplace ministry, you are able to do that. You're able to take the gospel beyond the 4 walls. We are called to be the ecclesia, which was a movement. We were not called to be stuck in the 4 walls, but we're called to be beyond that. So today, that is what we have. We have another wonderful guest today who is going to come in, and she's going to talk about her business, but as well, this is a business person that is a Christian. And so with that, she's able to show her light, shed her light unto the world outside of the 4 walls of the church. But before we do, as always, we always go through and give a Bible verse. And so on today, I would like to give the Bible verse, which we're going to come from Esther 4 and 4, chapter 4 and 14. It says, if you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from other place, but you and your relatives would die. Who knows if perhaps you were made queen for such a time as this. That's Esther 4 and 14, New Living Translation. I love the translation in this because it says queens. And so with that, as queens, we have to realize as women that we are made for a time such as this. And we have to go out and do what it is that we are purposed to do. You can only do that if you're walking in your true identity of that queen. You have to know that you are a queen and you have to rock it. You have to go out there as the queen that you are and do what it is that God has purposed you to do for such a time as this. Don't know what your time is, don't know exactly what it is, but that is where you get into your place, your secret place. You get with God and you ask God, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing in a time such as this? What am I supposed to be doing in this season? Who am I supposed to be doing it with? Who am I supposed to be connecting with? Who am I supposed to be networking with? And you know, here at Fervently Creations, we're all about networking with people because, hey, your network is your network. So we are trying to make sure that we actually place people in position to be able to do what it is that they are called to do in this season. So once I think of Esther 4 and 14, I think about all the queens that are rising up in their positions. I'm thinking about all the queens that they might have had their crown might have tilted a little bit, but hey, they are still up and they're still rocking. They're still going and doing what it is that God has called them to do. They are about their business. They are elevating others and promoting one another. They are doing things in the kingdom. So I just love that. With that, though, I do want to bring on this phenomenal guest. I want to see exactly what she thinks about queens that have been created for such a time as this. This is no other than my dear friend, Dr. Darline Nabbie. And so as I bring her on, I'm going to ask her first to talk about what she feels, how does Esther 4 and 14 talks to her as the beautiful queen that she is. And after that, I'll give her the opportunity to introduce herself to you. So welcome, Dr. Darline Navi. How are you doing tonight?
I am good. I'm excited to be a part of everything that you're doing. You know, I admire you so much. So I am happy to be here, ready to have this conversation. I think Esther and Ruth are probably, I call them the bad chicks of the Bible. They are probably two of my favorite stories, and excited. So about myself, my name is Dr. Darline Nabbie. I currently work for the Department of Defense as a health analyst, as well as a manpower analyst. I just help senior leaders with strategic moves. And this verse talks about how Esther was strategic. So I like that correlation. But I help them make decisions that could help benefit where we are as an organization through the pandemic. Everybody knows how shaky that was. But I help make those decisions by providing the data for them so they can make the best decision on how they should move forward. So that's a little bit about me. I started Dr. Nabbie's consulting services early this year, and it is to inspire women who look like me, women of color, to be prepared, because this is our time. This is a time for us to step in and lean in and be strategic, to be silent and listen to God so we know what our next moves are. And to talk about Esther, I love this verse so much because how she started it. I got my Bible, my digital Bible up. She said in 14, go and gather together all the Jews of Susa and fast for me. Oh, that's 15. I'm sorry. I fast forwarded. If you keep quiet at a time like this, deliverance and relief for the Jews will arise from some other place. And when I read that and I heard you say it again, sometimes we get loud when we're supposed to be quiet. And I think I want us as women to realize that in our quiet time, when we're like, you know what I'm saying, really not loud, but we're quiet, you'll realize something else will come from a place you never expected it to come from, and it could enter your life. And sometimes we get loud because as women, you know this, we like to process our thoughts and our feelings out loud. So we want to say this, oh my goodness, I was going through this. But when you're quiet, I realized that what you never thought would have entered into your life in that moment enters into your life in that moment because you're quiet. And I know, and I'm jumping ahead because as she talks about, who knows if perhaps you are made for this, queen, but then she goes, go gather, she said, gather everybody. And she gave them specific strategic instructions to do. And this is my favorite part of Esther. She says, it's against the law what she's about to do. What I'm about to do is against the law. Mm-hmm. I will go and see the king. It's against the law. But if I must die, I'm going to go ahead and die. Because that's how much she believed in the deliverance of her people. And so that's why I started Dr. Nabbie, because I believe in the deliverance of us, our mentality. I mean, we were, I think a lot of songs talk about how we're the most disrespected women in the world. I don't like to listen to that, but when we think about it and we think about our history, a lot of that derives from our history, why we're like the most disrespected women in the world, right? But to me, I'm ready to see deliverance in our people. And if I must die, meaning if I must let go of everything I believe about myself, it is against the law sometimes for us to be in. I mean, they make it almost illegal to see us shine because the stipulation that comes with us. And I look at it from a metaphorical standpoint, not really like if I must die, I must die, but like if I must die, meaning if I must let go and shed all that stuff and break a couple rules, I'm ready to do that because I think as queens, this is our time to rise up, and this is our time to step into a place like this so we can deliver us as women and African American women. So that's why I do what I do.
So with what you're doing with you, it is, even with Esther and so many other women, it is a thing to where we have to step outside of the norm, and we have to divorce fear. We have to separate from that fear of saying, okay, this is not the way it's done normally. And, back in their time, and once it was done, what she could have did, it was against the law. But sometimes we have to go against the rule and say, okay, I know that I shouldn't talk directly to the director, but if I have to step out on faith and do this, if I have to divorce, if I have to separate from fear, then this is what I'm going to do. If I have to do something different to make a pathway, because you have 2 children, one of them being a daughter. So what steps that you take today what you do today and how you shift the dynamics of how things is run in corporate America,
right.
how you shift that is going to pave a way for other little girls that come after you. It's going to pave a way for other little brown girls that come after you. Just like, we had kind of Lisa Rice, and then now we have our first Black, not only
Vice
female,
President.
but Black female vice president.
Yes.
So for those that are fearful of, I'm going against the grain, what do you say to those women?
To those women, number one, it could be lonely, but that's okay. So get comfortable being alone for a little while. Remember, it goes back to that, if, find that quiet place, right? So it's going to be lonely. I look at Esther's journey, and it was a lonely journey because she was doing something that no other judge did in the book of, if you read through the Bible, she was the only woman that did what she did. So it'll be lonely. But in your loneliness, find strength and be grounded in the word of God. So for me, I realized I am one of the only African-American women in my department. And I had to notice that I don't kind of relate to anybody here, but what I do find is commonality because there are some other women here, but they may not look like me. So after I find my quiet time, I go attach myself to those women who really see the change that I want to do, right? And they're healthy. And then also when you're going against the grain, and we talk about this all the time, find women who are like-minded. Me and you are on different journeys.
Right.
But because you have your own mission at hand to do what you do, and I have my own mission, I can get together with you and we can feed off of each other. And what you tell me, even though you have a different path, but what you tell me, I can take that and use your gifts as a prophet to say, I'm going to take what Prophetess Tish told me and I'm going to bring it to me in corporate America and move that way. I remember we had a conversation and I was stressed out because I felt like I was being picked on. You said to me, and I quote, you was like, that's not your business. Like it's not for you. Don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. It's them as people that are doing what they're doing, but you don't take that personal because you're a person and whatever they got going on is going on with them. So don't put that on you. So don't take it personal. And so I would say to you as well, number two, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Whatever you're going through, whatever people have to say, because you're going to go against the grain. Like, could you imagine Esther saying she's going to talk to the king? I know I would have cut up. Are you, girl, you know you could die, right? You better go talk to the king. So don't take it personal. Just know that whatever everyone has to say, it's not a direct reflection of what God's purpose is for you. So go ahead and step into that. So those are my two things. You're going to be lonely, and whatever you're going through at that time, don't take it personal. And eventually you're going to start attaching yourself to people who can walk that journey with you, although they're not on the same path as you.
One thing that I love about one of our conversations, something that I've always carried with me, because they start making me look at things different. But as queens, as people that are going out and we begin to step out and we begin to kick against the grain, we begin to do things a little bit different. And we have some people that like to criticize us. And sometimes with women, we are the main ones, and we get into a situation where we're jealous of a female. We're jealous of what they're doing we're jealous of them in their winning season. And one thing that you had told me, and I will forever remember this, is you said that, I'm gonna let you say it, what is jealousy? Tell the people what is jealousy.
Jealousy is, I want to make sure I said it. Jealousy is misplaced admiration.
Right.
Because I don't know how to, in a healthy way, admire you. Mm-hmm. So I am going to use that admiration for you, but in a derogatory way. So instead of saying, look at you, girl, you doing it, and I want to be just like you, I choose and make a decision to misplace that admiration and not voice that in a healthy way. So that's how I look at jealousy. It's just misplaced admiration.
And so with that, when she was reading on, and y'all got to excuse me because I got to go over to my other screen. So Esther, she said go gather together all the Jews of Susa and fast for me.
Yeah.
And so she knew to get other people in it, but she kept going. She says, do not eat or drink for 3 days. My maids and I will do the same. Once you're in corporate America, once you're in that community, I understand, yes, sometimes we have to walk that road alone. Sometimes it is lonely, the road to elevation as you begin to climb and stuff. Sometimes it gets lonely. Sometimes you get to the top of the pyramid and you realize that it's not room for everybody to go with you. But she said, tell my maids. And she said, I would tell my maids, and my maids and I will do the same. That's what she said.
Yeah.
My maids and I will do the same. In your path of elevation, because you are a successful Black woman. Truly admire you. I mean, she's only told y'all a little bit of what she does. I mean, this is I love my new word of the year. This is a multifaceted woman.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
I love a little bit of who she is. And hopefully we'll get a little bit more on that a little bit later. But as a multifaceted woman, how important is it to have the right people connected to you in this? Because sometimes we can have people that are connected to us and they'll get in our ear. And so as you're trying to elevate, or so they want to stay the same. They want to stay on a certain level. And so your elevation becomes intimidation to them. And they can't handle you in your elevation season. Yeah. So once you get to that, how do you handle that of, okay, my maids and I, who are your maids?
That's, oh my God, that's so deep. Okay. To me, it is women who, I am a big cheerleader, and you know this about me, but to me, my maids are people who know exactly who they are and what their purpose is. Because sometimes when you don't know what your purpose is and who you really are, you will quickly identify with something that knows what it is and what she really is. And you will identify yourself, and then you will get to think, oh, well, why can't I be that? You know what I'm saying? But her maids, like, I love that she said my maids. She has to have a certain connection with her maids. So when she says her maids will fast with her, you have to have such a deep connection that you as a queen can say, my maids will fast with me. Because to me, fasting is something sacred. You have to fast with your whole being. You can't half fast. But you can't. You have to fully. So if you say, Darlene, I need you to fast with me, I can't say, oh, okay, and not do it, because then I take your blessing, because I have to. It's when 2 or 3 are gathered together. So Esther said, I ain't gonna do it by myself. So she said, I'm gonna go get my maids. So my maids are people who know exactly who they are, and they're comfortable where they are. And I know I can call you because you are comfortable where you are. You know exactly who God created you to be. So I can say, Darlene, listen, Prophet Tish, I need you to fast with me for this. I know you will. Oh, okay. What we fasting for? What we standing in solitude for? Let's go. Let's get it. And I know you will do that for me. Sometimes, you talked about this earlier, sometimes we're quick to make people our maids when really they want to be your equal. They want to be right there doing what you're doing, but they weren't called to do what you're doing. So they may say they'll fast and pray for you, but honestly, they're actually taking your blessing, because now they're taking all the information that you gave them and they're going out and telling everybody. So could you imagine if her maids went out and say, hey, this is what Esther's getting ready to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have tainted everything she was trying to do. So you have to make sure that whoever you are in covenant with, because I think that's her maids were like in covenant. You have to make sure that they have your best interests at heart. And so you have to spend time, you have to know those people, and you have to know without a drop of a dime that if something is going on, they will drop everything and they will pray for you. From a place, like a real true place, they will pray for you. So to me, those are your maids. Yeah.
So you mentioned something, and listen, anyone that is tuning into this live, y'all have to bear with us, because this is a natural conversation for us. So we will flow as though if we were just sitting and having a conversation. So I'm going to shift a little bit from Esther for a specific reason. You mentioned identity.
Mm.
And when you talk about identity, I've heard you talk about your passion behind Joseph and identity crisis.
Yes.
And knowing who you are in your identity. Can you touch a little bit on identity, knowing your identity, and how the story of Joseph kind of relates to how it touches you with knowing your identity? Because in order for you to be able to help other women, in order for you to help to consult other people and give them what they needed, it's just like Joseph had to know exactly who he was to be able to be, I guess, that chief advisor.
Right.
All right.
You took the words right out of my, yes.
So in order for you to be, what is it, CAO?
Yeah, you would say like a senior advisor, like a chief advising officer. Yeah.
So absolutely. In order for you to be that chief advising officer, you have to be confident in who you are and not be in competition with whoever. So with that, that meant you have to know your identity. No matter what season you're in your life, you have to know your identity. Identity crisis. Touch it for me real quick.
Identity is so big for me. I got my first touch of identity when I was really, really small. When I knew I played sports for a very long time. But if I played basketball, if you ever watch a game of basketball, each person has their own identity. It's how I see it. The point guard, the shooting guard, the small forward, power forward, and the center. Everybody has an identity, right? When you are comfortable in your identity, you can play that role that you play with ease. So to me, how I had to get over my identity crisis is, number one, people will start to tell you who you are. You just can't believe it. Don't be quick to believe what people say. Number one, if you do that, and this is from my experience, if you do that, then you will walk how people say you are. Like, you will begin to walk that path that's not even who you truly are. So finding my identity was huge, because number one, I was all over the place. So I wanted to be this, I wanted to be this, but it really was because I didn't know who I truly was. And when I tapped into who I truly am, I started to say, wow, I'm really good at being an advisor. Like, I'm really good at just talking stuff out. I do that in my natural. I don't have to force that. It's a gift. And you start to know what you do naturally is a gift. Don't envy someone else's gift, because you don't know what they had to do to get that gift. That's the number one thing I said. I look at the colonel of our hospital. He's a full-board colonel. It's one of the highest ranks you can get, right? I don't know what he had to go through, but I don't want to be him, because then the whole purpose of why we're a team will get misaligned if I'm trying to be him. He needs me to help him make decisions. That's a calling in itself. He has to run the hospital, but I need people around me who can help me make decisions. So let's talk about Joseph, right? Joseph was the closest you can get to being to the king, right? And he was so important to the king that the king pulled him out of oh my goodness, he was in jail. So the king pulled him out of time where he was like I think he was locked up for something he didn't even do. The king pulled him out of that because he knew who he was. He was a person who could interpret dreams. He knew who he was. So he was like, hey, I need you to stand on my side, not to be me, but to stand on my side, because we're getting ready to go through a series of things. So Joseph, I need you to stay right here, and I need you to be my advisor. Could you imagine if Joseph was like, well, no, why can't I be this? You know what I'm saying? Could you imagine the dynamic of that kingdom and what it would have done? So by Joseph knowing what his identity was, he was able to sit in his rightful place. And that kingdom was able to flourish because he helped them in a famine. So what if the roles were reversed? Okay, you want to be king? I'll be king. And then that person, he wouldn't have been able to interpret that dream. And what would have happened to that kingdom at that time? So I look at me and you, for example. You are a prophet. You have that gift. And if we were to switch right now, there are so many people that would go undelivered because I'm going to act like I know what I'm doing because I interview, but so we will switch places and then our purposes wouldn't go forth. So
Mhm.
I say all that to say that identity is so important that you know who you are, because if you don't know who you are, you'll walk and you'll walk in the world. It's almost like a place where you're being pulled back and forth, where you're here and you're there and you're missing out on what God truly has for you. And when you walk in what God truly has for you, man, it just changes the dynamic of everything around you. I know there's somebody that I'm supposed to touch that may be the next something that she probably would have never gotten there if she didn't tap into my consulting services. You see what I'm saying? So knowing who you are and being comfortable in that is huge to me. So identity is like, I mean, it's probably one of the quickest thing to go and find out who you are as fast as you can so you can get about God's business.
And I think that's great that you're able to, for one, being comfortable in your own identity, but knowing, hey, I can advise you because I see greatness in you. I see the
Yeah.
potential of who it is, and I'm able to look into you and say, let me pull that out, because sometimes we just need guidance. Sometimes we need someone to
Yeah.
say, let me walk you through it. Let me show you how to carry yourself in the boardroom. Let me show you how to be in this room, whether it's room of other black women or women, or whether it's corporate America, whether it is,
Right.
whether it's a room and you're the only female in there, or whatever the dynamics is of the room. Let me teach you how to walk in there with your head held high. Let me show you how to go in there and present yourself and talk with confidence, talk with boldness, being confident who you are, and not letting someone else's view of you tear you down. Let me show you, as a woman of color, how to operate in color. I'm in corporate America, because
Yeah.
a lot of times when Black women, and I promise you're not trying to make it a black or a white thing, but a lot of times as Black women begin to speak in their boldness, and they begin to speak in their truth, and they begin to speak with confidence, or so, and it is a disagreement involved, the first thing that people want to say is, oh, that's an angry Black woman, and da 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 da. It's like, no, like, because you speak with authority, so I can still
Right.
speak with authority, but it does
Right.
not make me an angry Black woman. I'm speaking in my authority.
Absolutely.
And some of us, we don't have little small things. Yeah, no, you can't. I get. We talk. No, that's it. You can't do that. We don't have a
Exactly.
budget for it. The money, the numbers. You're a numbers person. Numbers don't
Don't
add
add
up.
up. Right.
It doesn't work. How do you get over being labeled as the angry Black woman in corporate America?
Oh my God, that's such a good question. Number one, I don't take anything personal. And it's good that I work with I'm sorry, my daughter is asking me to do something. Not right now, baby. So it's great. Go ahead, Daddy. It's great that I Okay, baby. So it's great that Elena, not right now, baby. So it's great that I work with military personnel, because military personnel, what I love about military personnel is that when they speak, they already are trained to speak like it's life or death, right? So a lot of them really don't take it personal what I have to say. So what I love about when I enter that room, when I speak, I focus, it's mission essential. What is the mission? So I only focus on the mission. So I pour my energy into the mission and not direct it towards anybody in the room. Because as Black women, subliminally, we can attack a person just because of a mannerism. And a lot of us say, well, but you have to be careful with that, because that mannerism alone can detour the mission. So sometimes I have to speak with authority, but know what setting I'm in, and finish my sentence with, you understand, sir? Because I'm speaking to a high ranking officer. So that with that at hand, they say, I respect that, because she speaks with authority in her voice, but she's also respectful and she understands the mission that we're trying to push forward. You're going to go back and forth. I remember TD Jake said a story. He walked into a business room and everybody was fighting. Everybody was going back and forth. But at the end of the fight, everybody said, you want to go to lunch, Tom? Yeah. So you have to understand that you can't shy away from confrontation. actually, the higher you go, the more confrontation is going to be constant. It's
Mm-hmm.
going to be constant. But know, as an African American woman, you can put some bass in your voice, but understand that, like for me, I work in the military. For some people, it may be banking. For some people, it may be, maybe the Pentagon, White House. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, it's a hospital with higher ranking soldiers, right? So I say, hey, we do not have the budget. I don't think this is a good decision. Do you understand this, sir? And he says, I understand. He likes the fact that I respect who he is as a person, his seat. I respect the seat. I respect the rank. But I also am not in admiration so much that I'm going to allow you to fail this hospital.
Right.
So that's how you do it. I would say for African American women, check your mannerisms. Sometimes it's not a place to do the eye rolls, because we real quick to, sometimes it's not the neck to the side. You have to understand that I can still sit. I'll sit like this, neck straight. I talk with my hands a lot, and I say, "But do you understand where I'm coming from, sir?" But I don't cower down. I'm gonna still respect you, but I'm not gonna cower down because I know you need me to be your advisor. So that's what I would say to Black women.
And it's like, I like because you said I talk with my hands a lot, but you did this. But what is the move that most Black women like to do? We snatch something.
Listen, what I'm trying to get you right
with the head tilt. And so we have to understand that our face and our mannerism does speak volumes. And sometimes our face speaks 1,000 words before our mouth even begins to open and say the first word.
Exactly.
Where do you see Dr. Nabbie's consulting business in 5 years from now?
5 years from now, I see it being, I see myself being on multiple stages. I want to reach women because I know what I do is narrow, and I want to reach women you don't have to work for the government like you do. Maybe your talent is with banking. Maybe your talent is with marketing. Maybe your talent is with, a C-suite personnel. I see myself speaking to all women because all women need encouragement. I think sometimes as a corporation, you can limit yourself and say, oh, well, I'm just going to relate to these women. But to me, we're all women. I think all women need encouragement from every walk in life. Look at Michelle Obama. I probably won't be a first lady ever in my life, but I'm going to tell you something. When she became the first lady, she changed the trajectory of how I view myself. So sometimes you just need to be an example so you can change and view how, someone sees themselves. So I just see myself starting to be a little bit more into different markets. So I want to work with all corporate America, but different markets at the same time, not just state of one. So that's where I see myself.
So beyond, you have another passion besides helping African American women in corporate. What is your other passion?
Finance.
Okay.
I love economics. I was just to give a little background, I have always been fascinated by numbers, always been fascinated with how one person can go in and buy something and another person can't. It's always, that's how my brain works. The reason I'm so passionate about finance is because it's like a little mystery and a puzzle, but it's easy to do. But I think, like I really believe this, as African American women, we have to shed some of the belief systems of how we need to be in the world financially. So I think finance is freedom. So financial freedom is freedom. So I really want to. I'm in a small group of women right now. So I think 3 or 4 of us, and we are literally trying to work this financial game. And when I say financial game, I mean there's so much that is involved, like credit, interest rates, stocks, investments, everything that we now have access to because it's available. There's no more secrets in the world. That's why I love YouTube and Facebook. I'm sorry. If you really want to know something, go to TikTok. I bet you'll learn. So I love how there's no secrets. And I really want to help women realize that, if you can figure out finance, oh man, you can unlock generations of women behind you that's going to make decisions that's going to change their trajectory. I mean, something as small as if you tell your daughter to save $100 a month for 8 years, by the time she's 60, she'll be a millionaire. If she never saved any more money outside of 8 years, $100 a month for 8 years, by the time she's about 60, she'll be a millionaire. I mean, that's nobody ever told me that. And I want to impart that to my daughter. Hey, don't even, as soon as you start making money, let $50 go to an account and don't worry about it. Just forget that you have that $50 and you're going to be a millionaire by the time all this is said and done. And then now you can pass that on generation to generation to generation. So that's why I love finance so much.
So once it comes to finances, and even once it comes to corporate America, how important do you feel mindset is in this?
Mindset is everything. Number one, you got to let go of all the beliefs that you think about finance and corporate America and money. Number one, everybody's going to tell you, no, the number one myth I hear, it's not enough money to go around for everybody. Or the corporate lie I hear is only one can make it to the top. That's just a myth. I think it's harder for us to make it to the top. We have to be a little bit more buttoned up. We have to be a little bit more, intellectual, or however we can't. Our hair has to be just a certain way. But I think, like, I remember telling you this, I think there are certain things you have to abide by if you want to be successful. I think it's like too much is given, much is required. So I take that verse and I say, mindset is everything. Just because I have to make sure I look decent every day and I wear a suit jacket, that's a mindset. It doesn't hurt to wear a suit jacket every day. You may tell yourself, oh, they're making me this or what, but that's just a mindset shift. A little mindset shift like that can take you from, a teller to assistant vice president. We know a person like that. You know what I'm saying? And she can tell you it took a lot of mindset shifts. Every phase of your journey, you have to shed something. So every phase of your journey, there's got to be a mindset. Like for me, the fact that I have to learn not to spend more than my paycheck, that's a mindset shift. Because the world is going to tell you, you need this. Go get it now. And we're going to make it possible for you to have it today. It's a mindset shift. I think mindset is very important. If you don't shift your mind, you probably will stay in a certain spot for a very long time. And you're going to be going in a circle because you don't want to shift your mindset on certain things.
And I think that's important because our mindset is developed from our perception of things as we start getting a perception of reality and start getting a mind shift and as well as our identity as early as the age of 2, around 2 and 3. And so doing that is once our mindset is beginning to shift and they're beginning to form off of how we perceive things, our perception of reality at the time. And so I was talking to my daughter this morning. And so she was talking about something. I said, well, you have to realize that everyone's truth is different. I said, if someone was to ask us about the dynamics of our household, I'm going to tell my truth from a perspective of an adult. You're going to tell your truth from a perspective of a teenager. And so sometimes we have to realize everybody's truth is different because they're seeing it from different lenses. And so we see it from different mindsets and stuff. And sometimes it's our mindsets need to be shifted a little bit because sometimes as adults, we continue to keep that childlike mindset. We don't actually begin to grow as a child. I thought as a child. But now that I'm adult, I put away childish things. And sometimes we do not put away the childish thinking, the childish mentalities. And then we end up in a issue to where we're just kind of trapped or so because we don't move forward. We don't shift in our dynamics and we carry that stuff over into different relationships, whether it's friendships, whether it's marriage or whatever. And so the mindset, motherhood, and we pass this stuff down. Now, what have we created? We've created issues with mental health.
Yeah, absolutely. And you don't even know that's what you're doing because you're so caught with that's how I am. I heard this thing, oh, this is how I am. Well, if how you are, I think Lisa Nichols, she's a motivation speaker. She said, if how you are if you're happy with where you are, then stay how you are. Don't change. But if you are not happy where we are, you're going to have to change. And she's talking about your mindset. You're going to have to change. Because don't come to me and you complain and you don't like where you are, but you're unwilling to leave the person that you are right now behind.
Right.
So you're going to have to change. Something has to shift. And you're not, I always tell people it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It's never going to happen overnight.
No.
But little things for me was, and this is going to be a simple, pay my bills on time. That's something that I was taught, girl, spoil yourself. And then you get, you know what I'm saying? But now I'm like, no, having structure is knowing that, hey, listen, pay this on time and everything that's left is left for you. It's left for you. So it was like those little mindset shifts that I had to tell myself. Like, for example, don't be so quick to speak. Be slow to speak. That was something. I'm so quick to speak, but now I'm like, okay, let me listen. I mean, I like what you're saying, but let me process what you're saying. Right. Let me go to God with what somebody told me. If it makes me uneasy, let me go to God with it first. Because what you don't want to do is ruin an opportunity with your response. Your response is going to determine where you go next. So be slow to speak. If you don't know what to say, go to God and let God direct you on what to say. And all of that stuff I had to learn, and it took time. I can't show up at a colonel's meeting and say, first of all, you're not about to talk to me, because then it's not that I did anything wrong, but it was not the environment for that.
Right.
There's a place and a time for everything. So I have to go in that room. Although I'm upset, I have to realize, okay, I'm feeling something right now. Hold that emotion in. Go in front of my sister, be like, I can't believe he said that to me. And come back the next day resolved and say, hey, that conversation we had, I didn't really like it. But it's those little shifts that you have to have. And when you have those shifts, I think somebody said it to me the other day. I think it was one of my friends. She was like, God begins to unlock different dimensions of you. And then next thing you know, he gives you a little bit more on your plate. Okay, I see you master these emotion things. All right, let me put a little bit more on your plate. Okay, I see what you're doing. Let me go ahead and unlock this door, because I know you have the emotional capacity for it. You have the finance capacity for it. Let me go ahead and unlock this door for you. Because if he gives you everything, it won't serve you and you won't learn anything from it. So he has to give you a little bit at a time. And I struggle with that, because I'm like, well, why is she across the street? She done did this. No, because I'm going to unlock for you what you need at that moment. So mindset shift is huge. Yeah.
So with that, and you were saying, why is she, what about, because everything was a process for you.
Yes.
Knowing your backstory, like how you went from basketball to where you are today, from the dynamics of your household and stuff, of your family household, to where you are today, did not happen overnight. If you can encourage someone out there on how to endure the weight of the weight.
This is a tough one, because it's just one of those things that it sounds easier said than done, right? But from when you lived it, you can speak to that person in that sense. So I hope to motivate you. And when I say that, find you a place. I don't care where that place is. It could be in front of a girlfriend. It could be in a room that's dark, and pour out everything. You have to purge out everything, because that weight this came to my spirit. Oh my goodness. Because I never understood the verse that said, Jesus said, give me your burdens and I'll make, you'll be like, just give it to me. And I think when he says that, for me, I translated it, for me, how I took it is, find a place where that weight can be put somewhere. But it's easier than just putting the weight there. It may be screaming. It may be crying it out. It may be getting in a room for 2 days and just locking yourself in there. But you're going to have to take that weight and give it somewhere. So that way you're a little lighter. Because if you go into the place heavy, you'll end up drowning. So when you're going through it, to me, if I was to say find you that 1 or 2 girlfriends where you could, however, for me, it's having a glass of wine. I'm being honest, transparent. I go and I just let it all out and I cry it all out and whatever I'm going through at that moment, because I feel, for me, I have let the weight go. I feel like, to me, I had a moment to where I can just say, here, can you take this? Find some people who can carry your stuff for you. I guess that's all I'm trying to say. Find you some people who can carry it for you. carry it with you is good, but sometimes you just need somebody who's going to carry it for you. And when they can carry it for you, and you know, and I like this in prophecy, I'm going to say this, people don't know what that means. Sometimes it's, I tell you something, and that person is like, girl, for real? No, girl, give it, like you're giving it to them. You're giving it to them. You're giving it to them, and they're allowing you to pour it onto them. You're giving that weight to them. And all you get is, once you leave that person's presence, or once you leave your presence, you feel nothing but empty because you gave it. If you hold it in, all you're going to do is end up sinking. I tried both ways, and I feel so much lighter in the presence of like a prophet, since I can go to her house and I can just give it. And my cup is empty at that time. And I can go the next day. Those feelings may come back, and my cup may be filled again, and that weight may come back. But then I know where I can go and say, can I give this to you right now? Because this is heavy. I need to give this to somebody right now. Girl, drop it on me. What's up? And you drop it on them.
You said that, it reminds me of the story in the Bible where they had the friends. The friends, you know, they was determined to get their friend to Jesus.
Yeah.
And the friend couldn't go in themselves, so they carried him and lowered him in through them.
Yes. Yeah.
And so sometimes we hang around people that are not strong mentally or emotionally enough. And not saying that, you know, everybody, you could be only weak, because one day I might be weak, and one day you might be weak, and one day someone else might. But we're able to say, it's okay to be weak today. It's okay to be human. You don't have to put on your cape today. You do not have to put on your mask today. Here is a safe place for you to be you. And as a queen, we have to get around other queens that it's okay to allow us to, I need to take my crown off today.
Let me take my cape off. And as another queen on the other side, you don't get to determine what they can lay off and what they can't. We have to be real cautious with that, because sometimes, and I'm guilty of this, for me, I would let somebody pour out, but I didn't take it. I just let it stay there on the floor. And your sister gonna eventually have to pick it back up, because I didn't take it. And how do you not take it? Like, what's an example of that? It's your mannerisms. It's how you are when they're giving you the information. Yeah. You have to be real honest with yourself at that moment. Is what she's saying triggering something in me that I can't take right now? Let me be honest with you. Listen, I can't hold what you have right now.
Like I can't add nothing else in my cup. I'm at a 10. I'm at a 10.
I'm at a 10 already. Right. Don't lie to the person and say, let me hold that for you, when you really can't. It's okay to do that, because subconsciously, what you don't know what you did is that person feels like they have because you told them they can come to you. They came to you. Then they still feel like they left with the same baggage that they came to. Can you hold this for me? Really, you didn't hold it. You were just looking at it like, okay. And now she ended up having to pick it back up.
So when she said, can you hold it for me? And just to clarify, because sometimes you have to have the friends that once you cannot find the words to pray, when you can't find the song to sit and worship to, when you can't find it in you to fast, that you have that friend to say, I will take this to the throne for you. It's not Absolutely. So much that you're saying that, hey, I need a friend that's going to take this and carry this, but I need someone that's going to take the weight and carry it to God for me. Because
Absolutely.
in this moment, the only words that I can cry out is, Lord, have mercy. But I need someone that's going to go in and say, I bind this and this. You know, I need someone that's going to go in and start casting out stuff. I need somebody that's going to go in and go towards it. They're going to go take it and say, you know what? I got you.
Right. Absolutely.
I got you right now. Like I will fight this battle. And sometimes we hold in secret battles and things, and we begin to hold weight, and that people don't even know that we're carrying. One of the conferences that I do that I need to do one next year. Hold me to it. Baggage claim, right? Yeah. And so what happened is we get people that sometimes we carry people's bags, but we don't know this. No, I'm saying, hey, I need help carrying my bags, but I need you to put it on the conveyor. I need you to take it to God for me. I don't need
That's
you
so good. Yeah.
to let my weight burden you down and to weigh you down. I'm not telling you that this to weigh you down. I'm not telling you this.
Right.
I need you to go into prayer for me. I need you
Right.
to go in, because right now I done prayed all I can. I done warred all I can. And it says we're two or three. And I just need to know that somebody is touching and agreeing on this thing
Come
with me.
on.
I just need to know that it's someone that is saying, you know what? I'm going to stand in the gap with you. I know I need someone to say, you know, hey, I'm worried. True story. I was going through, getting ready to go through a surgery. And right before the surgery, or so normally I'm the one that's, you know, oh yeah, and I got the faith to believe for healing, da da da. And I had to go to my friend and say, hey, I don't want to go through the surgery.
Yeah.
I did not want to go through the surgery at all. But I had to be around some people at the time that said, you know what? We got you.
Right.
We got you. And I had prayed and fasted about it, but I needed strength to go through, because
Yeah.
sometimes we know that we're about to head into a storm, and we need someone to say, you know what? You're not going through alone.
Mm-mm.
Queen, I'm gonna be there. I'm your maid. I'm one of your maids. I'm one of your maids of honors. I'm your maid, and I'm gonna do it with you. I'm gonna pray
Yes.
with you.
I'm gonna
I'm gonna
pray with
fast.
you. I'm gonna fast with you.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing. It's beautifully said. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I feel like that kind of put the icing to it, because sometimes we'll take someone's weight, but then we don't take that weight to the altar for them at that time. We'll carry the luggage for you, but let me go ahead and listen, this is God. Dear God, this is bothering my sis today. I
yeah,
know she didn't ask me to come to you, but I'm coming to you on her behalf. You got to break this thing. You got to deliver this thing. You know what I'm saying? And let God do what God does. You know, God will do what He's gonna do. Right.
it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Darline Nabbie, tell the people. Well, hold on. Before we do that, before we close out and tell everyone about Dr. Darline Nabbie, I you have one more passion I want to talk about real quick
Okay.
before we end and close out. You have a passion for veterans.
Yes. Wow. I my doctoral study, was looking at veterans. Back in 2014, I remember starting my doctorate. Well, actually, I started my master's in 2014, and there was a story that broke that said veterans are committing suicide at a rate so high they couldn't figure out and control it. And as I dug in a little bit when I started my research, I found out that the culture of the VA was so bad. And when I mean culture, the workplace, they felt like they didn't have a place that they can really thrive, or they were being not even managed at all. That veterans was waiting 90 to 120 days, 3 to 4 months to get an appointment. So I decided to do research to say, hey, listen, if you don't change the dynamic of the VA and how people are working, more people will continue to pass away, more people will continue to commit suicide. And, you know, I'm sorry if that language is vulgar, but that's how, much I wanted to change. So now I have been blessed to where I actually get to learn how to help veterans. At, with I work with a company right now, and I look at memorandums to actually help give veterans, I mean, from the Gulf War, compensation for some of the things that they had never gotten looked at because the VA system did not invest in resources like they have invested now with the service that I work with, that's actually going to compensate veterans for conditions that they had dated past the Gulf War, And so I'm so passionate about veterans because to me, whatever branch you serve in, you are our true superheroes. We get to watch Marvel and DC, and I'm a huge fan of Marvel and DC, but you are our superheroes. And what I mean by that is a lot of people look at the military and they think the military is cool, but when you come down to it, if something is threatening the USA, you are the ones who go and figure out how to exercise power I mean, these people are making these decisions, but you are the bodies on the ground, the bodies in the air, the bodies at sea that are actually protecting the freedoms that we have. So no one can invade and think they can come in. So I'm very passionate about veterans. I'm married to an active duty soldier right now who is getting ready to be a veteran here. He's very happy about that. But I got to see what he does. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is what you do? Okay, I know I didn't want to join. I thought I did, but I see what you do. But I mean, I say that jokingly because that weight is heavy to carry that trauma, what you see that a lot of people will never get to see in their lifetime. The dynamic of how you have to train, body shaming. It's a lot that goes on with military women being disconnected from their babies for months at a time. Men having to be in one parent households because they don't know if their loved one is coming back home. So very passionate about veterans, glad to start this journey, helping provide those services to veterans. So
awesome. Tell everyone, how can they get in contact? How can they connect with Dr. Darline Nabbie and Dr. Nabbie's consulting firm?
Service. So services. I'm on Instagram. Dr. D Speaks is kind of like my name. I love, I kept the uniform. So you can Instagram, Clubhouse. I love Clubhouse. That's where we can actually go and have conversations like this, but without the cameras. I'm busy right now. Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse. And also I haven't LinkedIn. That's where I have my Dr. Nabbie's consulting services on LinkedIn. I'm getting ready to do a website and those things I haven't yet, but those 4 places is where I am. Please reach out to me. I check my DMs often. I post funny reels from time to time, but that's how you can reach out to me.
Awesome. Awesome. Dr. Darline Nabbie, it was such a pleasure to have you on the show today. Looking forward to have you on plenty more shows, maybe come in and co-host some of them with me. We got some phenomenal
absolutely
shows coming up. And so, hey, I would love to have you on again. Thank you so much for coming out. As we get ready to close out, I just want to thank everybody for coming in, viewing the show. Listen, networking is not just about connecting people. It's about connecting people with people with ideas and people with opportunities. And so I want you to go connect with Dr. Darline Nabbie. Get in touch with her, her consulting services, Dr. Nabbie Consulting Services. You would not be disappointed. Such a phenomenal woman, such a phenomenal queen, as she helped in her own identity, in her boldness, helping other women. So I thank her once again for coming out to the show, showing us exactly how it is that we can move into our identity as queens, moving out of fear, in confidence. So I thank you again. Listen, this is Fervently Creation Show. If you want to be part of the show, please go to www.ferventlycreations.com. Click where it says become a guest on the show, fill out the information, schedule your appointment. We would love to hear, what are you doing outside of the 4 walls of the church as a Christian? How are you bringing things into to the world? So we thank you again for viewing the show. Catch us back again next week. Bye-bye.
My team rap Jesus, we about to go far. My team rap Jesus, my team go hard. My team rap Jesus, we about to go